Joining me here live now in Canberra is the Defence Minister, Richard Marles. Minister, plenty to catch up on over the last few weeks and months. Now, as you know, China has cooled its rhetoric over that time, over those previous weeks and months. Then it sends a suspected spy balloon over the United States over sensitive military sites. Can you trust them?
Well, firstly, I think it's a very curious incident with the balloon. I think America reacted to this in a very measured way. The important point I think we need to take from this is that the rules of the road globally matter. I mean, the global rules-based order matters. And this was clearly in breach of America's airspace. And that's the fundamental thing. Whatever it was doing, it was in American airspace and it didn't have permission to be there. And I think the way in which America went about this was very measured.
Yeah, there is heated conversations now taking place, particularly from higher-ranking members of the American establishment. The US Air Force General recently spoke of conflict over Taiwan by 2025. The CIA Director recently warned of an invasion by 2027. Is that likely?
I think it doesn't help to speculate. I mean, I would say the front line of what we seek to do as a country is to employ our diplomacy and to try and create peaceful pathways. And we have a sense of confidence that we can contribute to that. At the same time, we definitely live in a world which is much more fragile, less secure than it's been in the past. We talk about the fact that we face the most complex set of strategic circumstances that we have since the end of the Second World War. And there's a truth in that. And it's on the basis of that while we deploy our diplomacy, we want to create pathways for peace. In fact, we want to have the most productive relationship with China that we can have, and we've sought to stabilise that. We also need to be very prudent about our own posture and about our own defence, and that's why we're going through a lot of steps in respect of that as well.
Sure. I know you don't want to speculate, but that doesn't mean it's not potentially a reality. It's not very far away.
Well, we talk about the idea, as I said, that we face very complex strategic circumstances, and the world is much less fragile, or much more fragile now than it has been for a long time. That is the reality of the world in which we are living, and we are seeing a great power contest. Now, we want that to play out in a way which is peaceful, clearly. We need to be prudent about our own security, and you can look at what we are doing in terms of building our own defence. We are seeing an increase in our defence spend. That makes sense because, in a rational world, defence spending is a function of strategic threat and strategic complexity, and we're rational people.
So with that said, and pardon the bluntness of this question, are we ready for war in this region?
So there's a few answers to that question. Again, I don't want to speculate about war. I think we do have a really capable defence force. Australians should have a sense of confidence about that. It's not a large military, but it's a highly capable military, and it can do very significant things, and we should feel very proud of that. And we've seen that as our military has been deployed over the last couple of decades. We do need to be thinking about whether or not the defence force we have now is fit in terms of the strategic landscape that we face, and it is very different. There is much greater threat, and that's why we're doing the Defence Strategic Review. And we'll let the review do its work, and I don't want to preempt it, but I think what you will see coming out of that is much more of a sense that we must have the ability to project power. We need to be able to hold any potential adversary at risk at greater distance from our shores. And so impactful projection is what will be at the heart, I think, of what the defence.
So when you say that, holding someone at bay, essentially, what sort of a time frame are you working towards here? I mean, is it, back to that question, 2025, 2027, do we have that much time?
Well, I think what's important is that we are acting as quickly as we can to get the posture that we need. for our Defence Force. And yeah, we need to be thinking about that over the course of the next few years. That's important. But when you think about strategic thought, it's not just that. You know, there are long lead times in respect of a lot of what we do. So we are thinking about the next few years. We're thinking about the 2030s and the 2040s.
Right.
We're thinking about what the world might look like in over that period of time. And in a sense, the right analysis is to look at the worst case scenario and make sure that we have a Defence Force that can maintain our way of life over that period of time, no matter what we
Sure,
face.
okay, but